بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صدق الله مولانا العظيم. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, guide us upon the straight path. O Allah, guide us upon the straight path. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given us this dua in the form of Surah Al-Fatiha, which every Muslim, every believer in their 5-time daily prayers, we read this dua. We read it and we go through it. And every time we read Quran, we get reward. Every good action we do, we get reward. But the question is, why did Islam came to us? Is it just that we make our life rewarding, that every action we do, we get reward? Every year, like now we are in the month of Ramadan, we do Taraweeh, we do Shabina, we listen to the Quran, and we all get reward. We pray Taraweeh, we do give charity, and lot many good things we do. For every action we do, we get reward. The question is this is the purpose of our life, to make it a rewarding, then leave this world with these rewards with you, and hereafter you will be rewarded Jannah. Is this rewarding fulfills the purpose of our life? So we have to understand that. Of course, every good action we do, whether it's Quran recitation, whether we do Taraweeh, whether we do charity, is rewarding. It gives us the great reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we as a Muslims, as a believers, we need to travel little further. We need to connect ourselves with the Quran. Sometimes we read Quran and we quickly try to finish off, whether we are reading Surah Yasin, whether we are reading Surah Mulk, whether we are reading Surah Rahman, and we try to read it quickly, and we try to read Quran quickly to complete our Quran. It's good, like I said, it's rewarding. But we need to read Quran with understanding. Of course, we all don't understand Arabic. We should have a translation. we should read few verses of the Quran. Then we should go to the translation. We should dive in, ponder what we read in the Quran. And that reading with understanding makes our hearts alive. And when our hearts are alive, then we are connected truly, sincerely with our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we read with understanding, we should bring our mind and our heart on the same page. We all read Surah Al Fatiha 5 times a day in our prayers. But we don't dive into the meaning. We just read in a speedy ways, speedy manners, and we go ahead. So the very beginning I read, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. O Allah, guide us upon the straight path. What is the straight path? So we need to ponder into ourselves and think of all the good things, all the righteous things. And when we dive into each verse of the Quran, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens up our hearts. And when your hearts are opened up, they become the living hearts. And when our hearts become alive, those hearts will be free from the worldly desires. Those hearts will be free from the jealousy. Those hearts will be free from hasad, bughz, and the kina. And they will be free from the impurities of this world, lusts of this world, desires of this world. And those hearts will become home for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, love of our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and love of Allah's Messenger. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our hearts alive. Each time we do any good action, we read Quran, we read a hadith of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we must take our time, ponder into the text of the Quran, text of the hadith of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and dive in like people dive into the oceans. They go to the depth of the oceans to get the diamonds and the pearls. So we need to dive in the ocean, the textual ocean of Quran, the textual ocean of a hadith of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That will make our hearts alive. We should read the Quran with the intention that this is the word, this is the speech of our beloved Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking to us. Whichever verse we are reading, for example, if we read where the gardens of Jannah are mentioned in the Quran. We should ponder into the gardens of Jannah, close our eyes, and observe the gardens of Jannah with our hearts, the eyes of our hearts. How beautiful they will be. Our Allah, our Creator, our Rabb has mentioned the gardens of Jannah in the Quran. How Allah has created those gardens, how beautiful they will be. So whatever is mentioned in the Quran, we need to ponder into it and go in to the depth of that ocean. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanding us to refrain, stay away from bad deeds, then we must tell ourselves, this is my Lord, my Allah, my Creator is stopping me from these evil actions. So I need to change myself. I need to look into myself. If I am doing anything wrong, I should stop. So that's how we connect ourselves with Quran, and through that we connect ourselves with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Likewise, when we read the ahadith of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we must dive in what our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying. Just take it, because that is as Holy Prophet is speaking to us through his ahadith, through his beautiful speech. Just dive into it. So this way, our connection with beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will become strong. And when your connection becomes strong with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, your connection with Allah gets strong. So we need to read the Quran and ahadith in this manner, in this sense, not to race to finish them off quickly. We should read very slow and study with understanding. And when we read it with understanding, then we try to analyze, then we need to look into ourselves. How am I going to practice this? Try to apply into our life. Then you will get the blessing, the true blessings, and the nur and the light and the guidance from the Quran, from the ahadith of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that will make our hearts become alive. And this is the reason in the world we see there are people who are just after the rewards. Do this action, you'll get this reward. Give this charity, you'll get this reward. And on the other hand, there are people, they are not bothered about the rewards. They are worried about their hearts. They are worried how to make our hearts become alive. And when their hearts become alive, through their sincerity and through the knowledge of the Quran, understanding of the Quran, application of the Quran, to the knowledge of hadith, understanding the hadith of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and how to apply it in our life, their hearts become alive. And when you're on this level, you are more strong spiritually and physically against our enemy from day one. That enemy is shaitan. then you are in control by the blessing of Allah and His Messenger, because your hearts have become alive. And if you are just after the rewards all your life, you get the rewards, but you are very weak in the battlefield with the shaitan. To beat our enemy, the shaitan, you need to make your hearts alive. To make our hearts alive, the best way is to be calm in your actions. When you're reading the salat, be calm. Don't rush to finish it off quickly. When you're reading the Quran, don't rush to finish off any surah, any verses you are reading. Don't rush to finish them off. Take your time, ponder down, dive into the ocean, like I said, and try to understand and try to apply in your life to get Allah's pleasure, Allah's mercy, and nearness of Allah and the nearness of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.